baby. Great morning. Fired up. Our first official Triple M from our place. That is where we're doing Triple M from now. So I'm very excited, very grateful to be here. This has been a dream of mine since I was, started Triple M. I was going to say since a kid, but didn't know about Triple M then. But just to give you guys a little background, one of the first Triple M's was actually here on Miami when I was here on a trip for Herbalife training. And this is when Triple M used to be on the phone. Put the YouTube to the phone and say, yo, listen into these nuggets. And then let's talk about it. And now we're here. So fired up to see how far Monday morning motivation has come. Thank you guys to everybody that's tuning in live, that's watching the recording, that's posted about it, that's invited people to it, that's tuned in consistently, that shared your nuggets forward. All that makes a difference because it wouldn't be Triple M without all of us coming together. So fired up. We got a great video for you today. Going to be a little different. This isn't going to be your rah-rah, man, let's just push and grind. This is going to be a guy named Dr. Deepak Chopra. And he's really about the wellness and holistic movement. He was a doctor, medical doctor, and then felt like he was kind of like just pushing prescription medicine on his patients without really getting to the root of the issues. So then he went over into holistic meditation, wellness, yoga, has some great books. One of my favorite authors, and I really just love his wisdom. So we're going to be listening to his top 10 rules for success. Of course, get your nugget book, as one of my great friends, Tony Mazzola, calls it, your notebook, and take your nuggets down. If you're at work, you can't share live, no problem, put it in the chat bar. And if you can, put in the chat bar where you're from right now so we can see all the people and where you're from. And we'll have a few live shares at the end. So without further ado, we're going to get to Dr. Deepak Chopra and his top 10 rules for success.
We actually create the world.
Can you guys hear that okay?
That comes from
audio is good?
These inner beliefs. In turn, the world feedbacks on us. The world feeds back on us, and it reinforces what we already believe in. So we see what we become, and the world becomes who we are.
If you talk to great leaders, and this is well done research, even by Jim Collins, if you read his book, he says that every leader in the end says one of the following things: I was lucky, or I happened to be in the right place at the right time. There were a lot of meaningful coincidences. Now, if they happen to be spiritual or religious, they may use expressions like, God was on my side. I seemed to be guided. There was a state of grace at times. I was being looked after. What they're tapping into is a deeper intelligence that goes beyond the personal. You might call it transpersonal, or, as the transpersonal psychologists call it, or you might call it archetypal if you're familiar with the teachings of Carl Jung. But what they do is they have a relationship with the story. That's what a good brand is, by the way. A brand is an archetypal story. It has themes in it. The good guys, the bad guys, there's a little bit of intrigue, there's mystery, there's adventure, all the ingredients that make a really good soap opera. And they have a relationship with that. And, a good brand is something that you'll buy or use the service of, but you're actually buying the story. Apple is a story. It's a very great story, and all the big brands, Nike shoes, it's the story of the African-American urban hero, So when one of the things I tell leaders to do is, what's your story? Okay, can you make your story emotionally and spiritually inspiring? And, people will buy your story as the brand, as the service, as the product.
Follow your bliss does not mean get addicted to pleasure. Okay. Follow your bliss means finding the core of passion and excellence within you. It is to pursue excellence and ignore success. And if you do that, of course, success will be a byproduct, but you're expressing the highest potential within yourself. And when you do that, you lose track of time. You experience ecstasy. And for when you express that, there's a need in society for that particular expression. And when society sees that, it honors you. It makes you a hero. Yeah, the biggest challenge for all businesses is to restore real business. The economic meltdown was something that happened because we had lost the true purpose of business. What's the true purpose of business? Even in business school, it's not well defined. They say the purpose of business is to increase shareholder value. That's a ridiculous thing. The purpose of business is to help society, to serve the needs of society. The purpose of business is to serve the interests of all that are considered stakeholders. That includes the community and the larger ecosystem. We created an economy which was based on spending money that people had not earned, to buy things that they did not need, to impress people that they did not like. Of the $2.9 trillion that are circulating in the world's markets, less than 2% was going to provide goods and services. The rest was what they call derivatives, casino. So now, for the first time, I think we have the opportunity to create a wisdom-based economy that actually serves the needs of society. If you are a businessman today, you need to totally reinvent yourself. You need to ask yourself, what are the wisdom-based economies that I can participate in? The green economies, the alternative energies. The people who are planting trees are making a lot of money these days. So you have to create an economy that's based on serving the needs of people. The question that was asked was, how do we maximize the use of our time? Here's my answer, and I learned this from Dr. Daniel Siegel, a UCLA psychotherapist. He says, divide the time in 24 hours into the following sections. So sleep time, meditation time, exercise time, relationship time, downtime, creative and play time, focused work time, and when you eat. And when you're doing each of these things, then just do those things. Don't do anything else. I thought that was very brilliant, and I've been doing this now for a number of years. I sleep at least 6 to 8 hours a day. I meditate early in the morning for about 1.5 hours. I go to the gym after that. I walk between 5 to 10 miles a day. I work from about 9 o'clock to 12 noon. Then I take a full hour for a mindful lunch. I take a 20-minute walk after lunch. Then I start working again in the afternoon around 1 o'clock or so, 1:30, 2 even. And then I do a short meditation at 4:30 in the evening, 5 o'clock, and I have an early supper around 6, and I'm in bed by about 10. Now, when I'm doing this daily routine, then I feel that my rhythms are in order. They're connected to the rhythms of the cosmos. And when I'm speaking to someone, I'm present with them. I don't check my iPhone or my handheld device at the same time, because the cortical brain can only do one thing at a time. So, of course, the autonomic nervous system can do many things at a time. Do one thing, do it mindfully, and do it well. Pursue excellence and ignore success. Stay detached and divide your time into those quadrants.
So apart from running out and creating a story, what can the viewers right now do today or tomorrow to make themselves better leaders?
First, ask yourself those questions that I mentioned. Who am I? What do I want? What kind of team do I want to have? What's my role in it? What are my skills and strengths? What are the skills and the strengths of the people that I want to have in my team? You see, if people are not being fully expressive in their unique strengths, they lose self-esteem if they're not having fun. I am also a senior scientist at Gallup organization, and we find that only 20% of people in this country are engaged in what they do. About 15 to 20% are actively disengaged. They come to work unhappy, and they make it a point of making other people unhappy. And the rest kind of are punching in the clock. This costs our economy of something like $380 billion a year. So what makes a fun, invigorating, productive environment? Well, if your supervisor, the manager, ignores you, your rate of disengagement goes up by 45%. If the supervisor or manager doesn't ignore you but criticizes you, your rate of engagement drops to 20%. You would rather be criticized because you're now being noticed. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if your manager notices single strength that you have, your rate of disengagement falls to less than 1%. This has huge economic implications.
Each of us is born as an infinitely creative being. As children, we use our rich imaginations to create entire worlds. Whether we were building sandcastles at the beach, playing house with a collection of dolls, or pretending to be our favorite superhero. But as we become adults, many of us succumb to the prevailing cultural meme or belief that the older we get, our brains lose their capacity to expand, adapt, transform, and evolve. But it's a lie. As numerous studies have discovered, the brain has a quality referred to as plasticity, the ability to form new neural pathways even into very old age. The brain is fluid, flexible, and incredibly adaptable to new experiences. Neural plasticity is what allows us to teach ourselves a new language, learn to play the piano, play a new sport, or learn the latest dance move. Although you may no longer think of yourself as a creative or imaginative person, your very existence is evidence of your innate creativity. In every moment, you are co-creating your reality through your thoughts, your intentions, your words, and your actions. We all have unlimited creative potential because our essential nature is pure consciousness. By learning to reawaken your creativity, you will recapture the natural enthusiasm, energy, and wonder of youth. As the ancient Vedic sages of India observed, the secret of immortality is infinite flexibility and creativity. A victim of conditioning means that your habitual patterns of behavior and thinking are a result of the collective psyche. And what we call normal in the collective psyche is actually the psychopathology of the average. Dull, ordinary, mundane, always looking for fulfillment on something outside. If I had the right job, if I had the right money, if I had the right relationship, had the right thing, then I'd be a happy person. But it's the other way around. If you're happy, you'll have the right job, you'll have the right money, you'll have the right success. You'll make the right choices for your health, and you'll have the right relationships.
A lot of people don't really relate business and spirituality together. You don't really hear about it. How do you think it does work, though? Do you think you need that part?
I define spirituality as self-awareness and also as elements of compassion, love, service, honesty, authenticity, integrity. I think even if you don't relate to those values, if you incorporate those values, your business is going to thrive. Ask yourself, what's your purpose? What kind of contribution do you want to make? What creates joy and ecstasy in you? What are the 2 or 3 skills that you have that when you're expressing your unique talents or skills, time means nothing to you? It's not work, it's joy. Ask yourself, who are your heroes and heroines in history, in mythology, in religion? Because these are archetypes that are seeking to find expression through you and incarnate through you. Ask yourself, how can this passion of mine contribute to relationship, give meaning and purpose to existence? And you don't need to know the answers. If you live the questions, then life has an interesting way of moving you into the answers.
Nice. Love it. Awesome nuggets. All right, Rox, what do you got for us? Ladies first.
Hello, everyone. So, some of my takeaways from this morning, I really loved how he went into.
You got airplanes and helicopters up here.
All right, there we go. So, one of my favorite things that he talked about was mastering time management. I thought that was very key and so crucial in anything, you know, whether you work your job, whether you have a part-time, whether you're going to school, pursuing whatever it is, pursuing your own business. Like, if you don't, for me personally, if you don't know how to manage your time, how can you be able to manage everything else? And I really love the breakdown of breaking down exactly the 24 hours, knowing when the sleep is, when is the meditation, when is the downtime, the exercise, the work time, like just getting so crystal clear and focus on that. And for me personally, because we do Herbalife full time, that is such a crucial thing inside of what we do. And even before, because for instance, for me before, I used to have a job, and I remember having to break these things down and getting crystal clear on what my day was going to look like in order for me to produce the kind of outcome that I wanted. So I wasn't allowed to have so much downtime and so much chill time if my goal was to pursue my dreams and things like that. So I really love that. And then I love to be fully engaged and to getting crystal clear on the things that you want, like what kind of team you want to attract, what kind of people do you want to attract. And for me, I thought that was very, like, I think that's like so key in everything that we do, just being fully engaged with your life and being fully engaged in the things that you want, because the more clear you are, then the more you'll be able to be those things and also be able to attract.
Love it, love it. Shout out to everybody in the thread. See people from all the way MIA, Wisconsin, LA. Love it. Some of my biggest takeaways. Serve the needs of people. He talked about business is meant to serve people. Business, the way we're taught in society, and this comes from being an economy based on, you know, currency like money, that business is supposed to make money. That's the purpose of business. But that's not the purpose of business. Business is, the purpose is to serve, and because you serve, you make money. So I feel like for me, this is something even to stay focused on as we do Herbalife, as we are family, whatever you do, whether you're in Herbalife or not, like what's your purpose and who are you serving? Because the money is a reflection of your service. The money isn't just the purpose itself. And it'd be like saying, hey, I breathe to breathe. No, oxygen isn't the thing. Oxygen gives you the energy to be able to live life. Life is the purpose, movement, experience, adventure. And then because of that, you need to breathe so you have more oxygen. So I really love that, because whatever you do, whether you think you're an entrepreneur or not, you are, because you have to sell yourself. You're at a job, you're in a relationship, you own your own business, you have clients, whatever it is. Remember that your purpose is to serve. And all money will be is a reflection of how many you serve. Do you serve one person? Do you serve 3 people? Do you serve hundreds of people? Do you serve thousands of people and positively benefiting them? So if you've ever wanted an increase in your income, if you want, like, man, I'm struggling to get by, rent and all this, just think about it. Ask yourself, how many people do I serve on a daily basis? How much value do I bring to people? And you'd be able to easily answer how much money you make. Think about somebody that inspires you, like Deepak Chopra, who we just listened to. He's probably one of the most wealthy people inside of wellness and meditation. You know how many books he's written? You know how many shows he's been on? I listen to his meditation every single night. Type in Deepak Meditation. He's got 3.7 million views. So think about how many people he served. And then when I used to have, have financial issues in the past, how many people was I serving? Usually just myself. And maybe 1 or 2, it wasn't that big of a ripple effect. So I really love that. And then my next one is create your reality. Some people laugh at me when I say this stuff. They were like, yo, you got to, we were going to a restaurant and they were like, hey, don't say it might not be good because you might create your reality. Isn't that what you talk about? And I was like, you're right. I got to catch myself, because you do create your reality. And I want you guys
And how was it after
It was
that?
bomb. I created my reality. I changed my thoughts. There was a time when people thought lifting weights didn't work and you couldn't get more muscles. There's a time when they thought after a certain age, if you were active, it didn't help you. Now we know all that's BS. You can be 70, 80 years old and lift weights, be fit, and eat right, and it can change your health. Same thing about the brain. They used to think that once it got to a certain point, it was stuck. You couldn't learn anymore. You couldn't grow anymore. There was nothing new. They learned that is BS. We were watching a documentary the other day where a guy who was born, he wasn't born blind, but he lost his sight at like 7 months and 13 months. No sight. Doesn't remember ever seeing. And he's riding a bike in the video. I'm like, this dude is riding a bike, crazy. He learned to echolocate where he clicked his tongue to see like a bat. And they did an MRI on him. And they saw that his brain would activate when he did his echolocation of clicking his tongue to feel how it came back. It operated and activated his listening center in his brain, but also his visual center in his brain. So what did that mean? His brain had shifted and transformed to be able to see with his visual portion of his brain from the sounds he heard. He wasn't born like that. He's not. They call him the real life Batman. What happened is he had a need and his brain shifted to be able to create that for him. Now you're thinking, man, I can't learn that. I can't be that. I'm this kind of person. Have you ever said that to yourself? I'm not that kind of person. Nah, I don't do that. That's just a story that you made up that makes it so you don't have to try to grow. Because I guarantee you, if you try, you can change. Research shows it. Your brain can shift. You're not a tree. You can change. You can move. You can grow. You can learn. You can become somebody new. And I love that because that gives us the freedom to be whoever we want to be. So those are some of my big takeaways. I love Deepak Chopra. Such a great guy. Let's get a few takeaways from you guys. Give me a thumbs up or a smile if you're excited to share your live takeaway. Susie, what you got for us?
What's up? Good morning, everyone. So my takeaway was, I think it was like the third tip on there where he said, follow your bliss. So knowing that success is just going to be a byproduct of what, us living our dream. Just this morning, we were having a conversation about even doing in our Herbalife business about doing what really motivates us and what really inspires us and what really is going to make us feel like fulfilled. And then everything else just kind of goes with it. So for me, that's another reminder to continue to do what it is that I am passionate about and what fills me. And the rest is just going to be a byproduct of just that.
Absolutely. I love that. Follow your bliss. I love when he said following your bliss isn't about being addicted to pleasure. It's about expressing your highest potential of yourself, and that will be your ecstasy. And I really like that because some of the things that are going to take you to your highest potential are going to feel bad on the way, but in the end have you feeling amazing. Thinking about the first couple times you worked out. There's some people that hate to work out. They're like, it hurts. I don't like it. The next day I'm sore. And I look at them from my perspective. I'm like, that soreness is awesome. I know I'm getting stronger. If I'm not sore, I'm mad. But I had to remember that there was a time when I first worked out where I hated it. Because now that I'm on a place where I'm expressing the highest, my highest fitness level that I'm at now after working out for years, I feel a certain way, but it took me going through those stages. And now I try to communicate, hey, this is a stage. It's going to get to this. To let them know that your bliss might feel different than bliss in the beginning. I love that. That was dope.
And then also, if I could add on top of that, about expressing like your fullest potential, for me, and we listened to Oprah maybe a couple of weeks ago too, and she talked about this, and she talked about how even though, Oprah is very successful and she's achieved so many different things, there's always a next level to our life. And for me personally, I've experienced bliss and I've experienced moments where I don't feel bliss. And I can look back at the times when I felt bliss, it was because I was going after the highest and the fullest expression of who I am and everything that I'm here for. However, there's been times where I don't feel in that state, and it's because there's just like a cap in the growth, and just like it's like almost like stagnation of energy where we know that there's so much more. There's always, like, for every single level of our lives, like there's always something more. We can always become more. We can always do more. And it's always like, for me personally, is going after that, and then everything else will follow.
Yeah, love that. Great stuff. We got Maria from Miami put in the chat thread. We have an unlimited amount of potential. Co-create your life. Don't settle for less than your worth. You are the master of your world. Manifest your desire. Work towards them and have a killer week, you guys. Let's get it. We'll see you at the Leadership Development Weekend for Herbalife in Orlando in a little bit. Let's get one more takeaway. Give me a thumbs up or a smile if you're excited to share. Let's get it. Anna from Wisconsin, what you got for us?
Hey guys, I really liked number 6 about being fully engaged. I balance a lot. I'm in school. I do the Herbalife business part-time and just involved in a lot of other things. So being fully present in the moment as well. Like, I think this is when he said, like, not texting or going on your phone when you're talking to someone. And also I really liked when he said,
I'm listening to my video. I'll make us some coffee.
how do you want your team, and how can you build your strengths and your team's strengths together to create a movement? So I always think of like, who am I and what do I want for my business and my life? So it was big.
I love that. Yep, staying fully engaged, and I love how he broke down like the timing of his day. And he said, whenever you're doing that, just do that. I love that. And something I personally am working on more and more, because I feel like I'm trying to do 1,000 things at the same time and end up doing 1,000 things not as well as I could do one thing. So I love that. Fully engaged. And then in that, he said, noticing strengths. So he said, when people don't notice you, disengagement goes up to like 40%. He said, when people criticize you, it goes up to only 20%. So he said, you'd rather be criticized than not noticed. I was like, yeah, that's crazy. He said, when they recognize one strength, disengagement goes down to below 1%. If you're an Herbalife, what could this mean for your team member distributors? What could this mean for your clients? If you're a family member, what could this mean for your friends, your brothers and sisters, your parents or your children? If you're a business owner, what could this mean for your employees or your clients? Like, that was big for me to see 40% to below 1% by just noticing one strength. Powerful, you guys. All right, you guys, I'm going to take everybody off mute. Let's have an epic Monday. Let's guys, share the recording, share your nuggets, pay it forward. See you guys next Monday. Peace. Adios.